It's July the 12th, 2025. I'm Chris, and this is the future of photography.
The future of photography.
All back. Hey, Jeremiah. Hey, Adrian.
Hello.
How are you guys doing? Let's talk about. Let's do a follow-up. So, the last episode we talked about the UV printer, the Eufy Make E1 that has just run the most successful Kickstarter ever with, I don't know how many, 50 million or something or more, 20,000 people backing it, buying in effect, $17,000. That's early bird pricing, UV printer for the home.
$1,700 maybe.
$1,700.
17,000 doesn't sound like a home printer to me. You can buy a home for that in some parts of the world.
Thanks for the correction. So, we talked about this. We watched a few videos, like the one on tested.com. Makers seem to love it. A lot of influencers have it early, and are testing it. They're getting some real cool stuff out of it. And this thing has gotten so much interest. Again, we're talking about 20,000 people backing it. The $1,700 is probably not the final cost, because there's a lot of accessories that you can add on to it. So that you probably want to add on to it, like rotary attachment and things. So it's easy. It's easy if you back it to add another $500 or up to $1,000 of accessories to the whole thing. So we're talking $1,800.
But let's not forget one of the critical things that they kind of gloss over, which is the cleaning cartridge.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. And by the way, if you hear any weird noise coming from Jeremiah, there's a chainsaw outside his place right now. So anyway,
the zombies are coming for me. So
anyway, so I was very skeptical, not of the technology and of the things that it can do, but of the cost of it. And we did some back and forth about the promises on the Kickstarter website for like how much a fridge magnet would cost and how much you could sell. And I got some feedback. I talked about this in another context. I got some feedback from people saying, yeah, but it's so cool. You can do this and this and this. And someone might actually make money using that to fabricate things that you cannot do other than going to a professional UV printing supplier. And then Jeremiah, you sent me a message. Can I read that here? So you wrote to me, long chat with my UV printer expert who is very familiar with the new desktop one. He says they will mostly become boat anchors once people understand the cost of inks, the complicated cleaning cycles, and cost of the cleaning cartridge, which doesn't last, and the general upkeep. He basically says that the maintenance, despite their claims, which are basic hopium, will clog them if used often or clog if not used often, and the print heads are a major cost. The Etsy crowd will lose money on cost per area, so a lot of cups will be unsold. So I did some basic research. Because here's a professional, and he has an incentive to not like this thing because it's taking business away from him, potentially. So I did some research. And it's easy. The 1,900, by the way, after early bird, after the Kickstarter, it's 1,900. It's on the website. Add-ons, again, easily add 500 to 1,000. So we're talking to 3,000 maybe. To get the thing in a workable fashion. And then there's the ink cost. And one single ink cartridge with 100 milliliters is $42.99. So $43. That's 34 cents per milliliter. I did some research and found some commercial UV printers. Their cost is somewhere in the range of 1 to 15 cents per milliliter. So that is
much cheaper.
That is a 3x to 40x cheaper cost for commercial business. It's quite a lot of difference there. And then, Jeremiah, you said it, the cleaning cost. You have a cleaning cartridge because those print heads need to be cleaned. They need to be purged of UV ink. They need to be cleaned with a special cleaning solution. That's the major technical difference to an inkjet printer, which cleans using the actual inks. This one has a separate cleaning cartridge, which is not cheap. A cleaning cartridge is also $43.99. Has a few more milliliters in it, like 500 milliliters, but apparently you need a lot of cleaning. I don't know how the relation there is, but what we're looking at is the commercial business will do one purge per shift, right? So they have 1, 2, or maybe 3 shifts if they are really big. They'll do one purge per shift, one cleaning of the heads per shift, and then I have no idea how much they print, maybe 50 jobs in a shift, maybe 100 jobs in a shift, whatever. So their purge to print ratio is very good. The more they do, the more minuscule purge cleaning cost becomes.
Classic economic of scale, really, isn't
it? That's an economy of scale thing.
So if you
print your
all the time.
Right. If you print your projects at home, let's say you have, I don't know, if you're a home user and you want to do like a couple of phone cases. That's like 2 phone cases in a week.
Yep.
And the same amount of cleaning. That does not compute well.
It doesn't allow for any economy of scale, certainly, does
no.
it? I mean, obviously there are some Etsy shop owners, for example, who are running reasonably high volumes, depending, some of them, but I think that's a very small minority. I think the majority of people will do small batches and they'll hold them in stock, especially people that work from home. You can't just produce 1,000 items because you've got literally nowhere to put them. Trust me, I know these things. Yeah. So you naturally, because of the scale of your business and because of the rate of sale of and because of your lack of storage facilities and things like that, you'll always be doing small batch runs and only periodically. And that's even if you're doing it as a business. That sort of volume is not your only income. That's a sideline business, right? A side hustle, as they call it. But if you're a hobbyist doing 1 or 2 things a week, I don't know.
That would be my guess. That would be my guess. Maybe one a day in the beginning, but that will fall off quite quickly if you have all the phone cases printed and all the fridge magnets done for everyone in your.
I only have the one
circle. Yeah, but everyone in the family has a phone, so you'll have a bunch of phone cases to print stuff on, right?
Yeah, the bottom line is when these things are sold, and they did an immense job of pre-selling this and raising money and profitability, et cetera, et cetera. So they did a great job. As we know, Chris and I bought a bamboo 3D printer, and it's fantastic. It requires very little maintenance. And you can print one piece, you can keep it going. It's virtually maintenance free. That's what I found. I mean, It's because it does have the cycle of clipping and purging that is built into the system. Plus the materials are not that expensive. So when they look at a market, they are selling a kind of, maker market who want to do either small batches for home and gifts and all of that, or I don't think it's mainly for art, but even the build-up art, the 3D build-up, as my printer went into detail about how the lines are laid out. It's not like a professional UV printer. It does not emulate, say, brush strokes perfectly. It basically lines it, which creates other problems in terms of buildup. It's not that perfect. Number two, the cleaning cycles of these things, the maintenance cycle of these printers is intense to keep them running.
Not of the 3D printers, of the UV printers, right?
I'm talking about the UV printers. So when you have a home hobbyist going, I'm going to do all of this, they underestimate, the cost of the inks, which are vastly much more expensive than the commercial ones. So on a per square inch basis. So in order to print coffee cups for profit, the cost of inks, cleaning, maintenance, etc., are outweighing the cost, what they can actually sell it for. That's going to dawn on them at some point.
And we'll have to add the cost that comes from inexperience, because I mean, the promise is this thing does everything for you. You just put your thing in, you press print, and then something wonderful comes out. No, you will do misprints, and probably a lot of them in the beginning. Anyway, this is cost that with experience goes away. One additional thought here: if you want to use this thing high volume, as in 1,000 fridge magnets a day, which you can probably do because you have a big print bed that comes with it, and you can put like lots of them side by side. So it should be possible to do throughput. Is this thing built for high throughput? Because what we've seen we've seen this thing in action. And the influencers, by the way, who got it have probably no cost for the machine and the material that they're using. So they never talk about how expensive this is. But none of them has done high volume runs. They are just doing small batches, simple things. I'm not sure that for that price, this thing is built as robust as a commercial grade machine. I have my doubts.
Yeah, so do I. And you know, I think all of us are kind of pro new gizmos, gadgets, technology. So we're very embracing of this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
For us to be kind of on the negative side is, I think, more unusual for us. But there is a process of UV printing that is not like printing on paper. It's just not the same thing. Your cost of basic materials, whether it's glass, cups, and whatnot. When you have misprints on these things, you have the material costs as well. That didn't turn out well. Are you going to scrape it clean? I mean,
your raw fridge magnet is unprinted, is now pretty much spoiled.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know from the commercial side, the maintenance of these printers is significant. I mean, most of them have somebody whose responsibility is to maintain these things running perfectly.
And the promise here is that you have these cleaning cartridges and they do everything for you, and it does its thing. So I would even believe that you probably pay for that convenience by cleaning costs, as in cleaning cartridges.
And by the way, if you exchange a cartridge every few prints, I'm sure your system is going to work very well, but your costs are going to rise enormously. So it's kind of a buyer beware here. If it's too good to be true, it generally is too good to be true.
Is it an early adopter thing? Right, so this is the I was
$4 trillion advance.
Well, fair point. They may have saturated the market on the first gen hardware, but I was watching a YouTube video the other day. Fella happened to be talking about and I'll get probably wrong, but it was a fifth generation, I think, of the Insta 360X, the 360 degree camera, the one with the lens on each side, and he said. This is brilliant. He said they fixed loads of the usability things. It's a fantastic fifth generation product, right? And we many of us have long said who use Apple kit all the time. It's like you never buy a first generation Apple product. Always wait till the second generation. Never upgrade your operating system till the .1 release comes. It's those. Are we being a little bit curmudgeonly here, right? A little bit grumpy about this thing because actually it's a first gen product and the fifth gen product is going to be awesome.
I mean, kudos to them for pulling this off because it's huge in terms of the campaign they had, the virality they had, the influencers they got on board. The technology is pretty cool. There's no doubt about that. And making this available to people at home, I'm all for it. But one term that stuck out to me in that message you sent me was hopium, which I think we are looking it right down the throat. Hopium, as in hope and opium, I think is what fuels this entire Kickstarter crowdfunding industry. Let's look at a few examples in the past just to get an idea, a feeling of what has been going there, what's been going on. Let's look at say the Light L16. Remember that camera? It was a camera that looked like a thick smartphone. It had 16 smartphone sensors and cameras on it of different focal lengths, and it promised DSLR quality, and it was very, well, it didn't work, and the software was bad. They made humongous RAW files. The software was clunky. The firmware update promises never really came through, and later Light pivoted to car cameras, like in the automotive industry. That's one example. Hopium made this work, at least for them, for a while. The drones, another thing. We had a whole year of lifestyle drones, and remember the Lily drone? They had amazing promo clips. They showed like happy people throwing that thing in the air, and then it would take their live video from all angles. They had 60,000 pre-orders. They raked in $34 million. They ended up not being able to finance the drone, the production, and no products. We had, others, Google Glass. Okay, that might have been too early and too socially not acceptable. Remember Juicero or Juicero, whatever that was.
Nope.
2016, 2017. That was the promise of the $400 juicer that would deliver you in a subscription juice packs that you would put in the machine, and it would squeeze out the juice into your cup. And it turned out in reality, those bags, you could just squeeze them by hand. You didn't even need the $400 machine. Completely, they shuttered their business a year later. Or recently, Google Stadia, they promised cloud gaming, 4K cloud gaming without a console, 60 frames per second, HDR, surround sound. Big promises. Lots of people went for it. The reality was latencies, long latencies, no titles, small user base, and in 2023 they stopped it and had to pay back everyone. So there are so many things that are fueled by hopium, by promises, and so what I've done is I've put together a little list of alarm bells. Let's go through that and see how much, which of these apply to the UV printer. Renders instead of photos. No?
Hey, well, that one works for
It's
IKEA.
a real one. It's a real product. You touch it. You have
IKEA sell a lot of stuff from renders.
It's true. But yeah, influencers have proven this thing exists. You can touch it. It works. Zero access for outsiders. Influencers are the insiders, but at least somewhat biased.
They got
but
one
they have
foot
access.
inside,
So
haven't they? I don't think you can say they whether they're paid or just getting a freebie, they're compelled to make content to keep their
Yeah.
own audiences happy, aren't they? So
of course, slipping release dates. Not seeing that here just yet, but
Always a giveaway.
that is a giveaway. But
It means
at least
that they
we
haven't
have
got the chain right.
at least we have anchor behind it, so I don't expect this to slip. So far, 3 points for against this being a Hopium product. Specs sounding too good to be true. How about that?
I think the specs are probably good, but the cost related to those specs are somewhat fungible.
And of course, the specs also include the cost of printing, which is not really mentioned well. So let's see if that one blows up. Just in general, pre-orders. That's an alarm bell. You order something that you don't really know how it's gonna be.
or if it's going to arrive at all. I mean, yeah, Kickstarter themselves as a platform are very open about that, aren't they? And they make sure that you know when you back a Kickstarter that you might not get the product, right? So
it's true.
So that's a buyer beware one for me, I think. Actually,
just parenthetically for that, can I ask? Have we all ordered stuff from Kickstarter,
yes,
both successfully and unsuccessfully?
Yes, both.
Right. So, I mean, I no longer do it because I would rather pay the retail price finally when it arrives on Amazon.
So I have one example that's been going over in my head while Chris has been going through this, which is, you will both remember, I'm sure, Film Ferrania.
Yes.
Which was the Kickstarter to reopen the film manufacturing plant in Italy, and they tried, and I honestly believe that they really tried, and they weren't trying, that they weren't a scam, but they never really got there, did they? So
I backed them fully, expecting it to not become a big thing, but the story was good. They provided a lot of cool updates, and so I didn't back like a huge package. It was more of a I want 5 rolls of film kind of deal.
Me too, yeah.
And I was happy to pay that because I knew that they were trying something and they were not a scam. That didn't feel like a scam. So I was more paying for the story and to support them rather than to
yeah. It's kind of
cool
like
product.
Yes. It's like when you buy somebody's, I don't know, presets off the internet, and you're not really doing it for the presets. You're doing it as a way to say thank you for making all those YouTube videos that I've watched for many hours and stuff like that. You know, it's a thank you economy, I think they call it, isn't it, in some ways?
I even backed like a $100 3D printer kind of thing years ago that completely failed, but still that went on for so long and back and forth, and it turned a bit into a thriller of sorts with weird things happening and so on. So I'm not even mad about that because it ended up being a heck of a story, and I was kind of glad that I was part of that. So this can go both ways. But next thing on the alarm bell list: software update will fix it later. How often have we seen that?
Hands up who owns a Tesla.
So
all of us.
yeah, but again, it's your approach. I like being surprised. So with a Eufy printer, I haven't seen that. So, but again, we have not seen the product, so we don't really know how finished that is on a software side. Next on the list, buzzword bingo. Example being AI, blockchain, metaverse. It comes with AI. It has that big letters right on the first few pages of the Kickstarter site. So yeah, possibly. Another thing on the list is it being a service black box, as in who will fix it, where do you get it fixed? That's a $1,700 to $1,900 item. If that breaks and your business, your Etsy business depends on it, you can't afford to not have that thing for a month.
That's my number one check, is who will repair something. Because invariably, like riding motorcycles, you're either down or you're going down. So
Yeah,
like hard
absolutely.
drives. I mean, things that are mechanical, they break. And speaking to someone who has just had a failure on an old Epson converted printer to piezo, it went sideways. But I had adapted it and changed it and reconfigured it and put other boards in it, etc. I can't find anybody to fix it now. They basically say you got to rip the entire thing out, and
Because you modified it with the piezo and so on, and it's
all
out of
that.
it's out of warranty, and you
Way
you
out of
voided
warranty.
your warranty. Yeah, yeah.
But this is, I mean, this is a really good point, though, isn't it? Yeah, the support thing. Nobody's going to support this, are they? They're going to be swamped by the size of the pre-orders they had, and there's not going to be any support. So when it breaks, it's gone. Yeah,
it's a new platform for most at-home Etsy kind of.
It is, and also, complex and innovative technology fails far more frequently than tried and trusted technology.
It's different if you're making a flat panel LED display that's reconfigured design-wise for something different. Example, I had ordered a small studio, like desktop studio, with flat panel lights that are adjustable by phone. You could adjust the color and each LED separately, so you could really model within a small desktop kind of white room, effectively. Mm-hmm. Ordered it on Kickstarter, and it took a while. When's it happening? And just before they were going to ship, Russia invaded Ukraine, and this group was in Kyiv. And obviously, but they were extremely professional and whatnot. And they said, "Oh, we'll send the money back." And I said, "Do not send the money back. Use this money." And so I was happy to kind of, because of the insanity of what was going on, but they never got it off the ground, and because their manufacturing facility was bombed. So stuff happens.
Do you know what the slightly lighter note? The first person who invents one of those things that actually goes back in its bag is going to make a killing, right? It's like, we have one. It's about, I don't know what, it's about 3 feet on a side, no, somewhere between 2 and 3 feet, right? So somewhere less than a meter on a side, and it's a cube, and they're fantastic until you try and get them in the little circular flat bags that they come in. It's like one of those little sun tents you take to the beach and stuff like that. It's like,
right. Okay, next on the list, inexperienced founders. For this printer, Eufy, Anker being a venerable business, we all have a battery pack or two from Anker, but that's the first venture into UV printing. So you could argue that, but from a manufacturing point of view, I think they probably have that down. Next one, and that's a big one, FOMO tactics, as in limited availability, 50% off only today, early bird pricing, all the things that will make you go, oh, I better cast all my doubts away and pony up, because later on it'll be twice the price. Like
our bamboo printer.
Interestingly enough, okay, so speaking of the repairability, let's contrast this with the bamboo printer. The bamboo printer is being sold in a traditionally maker kind of community. People who used 3D printers are used to tinker. And Bamboo has a store where they sell you every single spare part. You can completely tear that thing down and build it up from spare parts. So if something fails, you can fix it if you're inclined to do that. With a UV printer, not so much, I guess. So FOMO tactics, that's a huge red flag for me. If they go, you only 3 left and be quick. And last but not least, and that's another trigger, the GAS trigger. GAS standing for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And that's what I call the promise of creativity and the promise of skills by purchase. So you'll be the heck of an artist and be rich and famous if you only buy our product, because you will have such beautiful phone cases by the print of a button.
And mugs.
Or mugs or fridge magnets. I'm sorry, there are probably a million more examples, but those are the first three that come to mind. And
do you know what? That's a really good one, actually. That's the promise. I like that phrase you've got there, the promise of creativity and skills by purchase.
Because we see this in the camera field, in the photography field. I don't know how often I've talked to people, met people who had a camera that was 50 times as good as they were, a piece of gear that was way out of their league. And I'm happy if someone does that, because it keeps the camera industry going and it keeps those cameras available for everyone else. But most people that are not professionals, and I'm trying to sound not gatekeepy, but most people don't need gear of that caliber, and I'm guilty as well. Back behind me, there's a bass guitar on my wall. That thing was expensive when I bought it years ago. I'm not that good a bass player, so it satisfies something in me. It's something that I just wanted to own this object, and playing it in front of people is kind of, sorry, but I'm not as good as that. So,
but as you just said it though, sometimes it fulfills multiple roles, right? So sometimes it is about the thing that is you use it for, the camera, and using the camera, and because you need one that can do X, Y, and Z, or sometimes you want to have room for growth creatively. Sometimes it's just the joy of ownership, right? It sounds like with your guitar there, you've got a big joy of ownership, right? And that's part of what you've bought into. So
yes, some of us though, I remember, often when I was on a film set, and I had time in my trailer while a big lighting setup was happening, and I would go in there, and I just needed to kind of relax. I would never be able to read anything contemporary in terms of nonfiction or fiction. But what I would do, I would study the technology that I had to go into a very deep dive. I found it relaxing. That's just because of the nature of curiosity. And I'm going to actually read the manual and every little bit of it. And it proves to be good, because of course you get new gear and you go like, quick start. Okay, I'm there. And often you never look at the manual or look at it for one particular problem or issue. But to actually go through it and understand where every single switch and button is, then there's a kind of person who welcomes that kind of curiosity, that kind of engineering really under the skin. But I wouldn't say that is most people who buy gear, but that is those kinds of sophisticated, advanced gear are for people who are extremely curious about how that technology works, especially with cameras, because each one has its own foibles and idiosyncrasies and menus, etc. Getting to know the conditions of your technology is something that can and will make you better able to get the best out of it. There's no question. And so making that commitment when you access gear. And now when I make a purchase, I really am disciplined enough to go, I am going to know this before
It comes with age. Now, okay. So I think wanting to own something and surround yourself with something that is special, that is expensive, that is whatever, is completely valid. But I have never, ever in my life bought any piece of photo gear and ended up being more creative or being more skillful as a result. I think those two are invalid reasons to buy something, but this is what's being promised, that you will be so much of a better photographer. Never with a lens, never with a camera. I became a better photographer.
Can I say the inverse is probably more
it
accurate?
Tears you. It lowers your creativity and skill for a while, and then you might get that if you spend a lot of time and learn it. I've seen this with my tilt shift journey. I've seen this with my camera journey. It always, a new piece of gear is always followed by me being worse than I was before for a while.
Don't you think something that has severe limitations creatively, a camera with a single lens, a single aperture, like something absolute, actually brings out your creativity in many ways, much more than something that is altogether sophisticated. So if you're just talking about the challenge of creativity, how to use technology, sometimes the limitations are the very thing that allows you to push through. And that will translate. So when you get a more sophisticated camera, it gives you more chapters to explore. But I think creativity comes from limitations, not from an abundance of opportunity.
It does. And that's not to say that if you buy that new piece of gear, maybe based on the promise of more creativity, that it will motivate you to spend more time and so on. That is definitely a possibility. So I'm not totally discounting that part of the equation. But in general, the promise of being more creative is an alarm bell. If someone advertises to you that you'll be a great artist, maybe they don't even say it, but they show it in the pictures and in how beautiful the things are that people can make with that printer. So anyway, yeah.
Well, I wish them well, right?
Totally.
Because they've got an enormous challenge ahead of them to satisfy the pre-orders, and to keep that number of backers, happy. So, and I hope for the sake of the backers as well, who've committed, large amounts of money, that what they get is a product that works and is stable and robust. And I look forward to the Gen 5 version at 20% of the price, that runs off USB-C and gets delivered through the air.
I would not be surprised if in a year from now we'd see a lot of barely used UV printers on eBay and other portals. I think if you are in to get one of these, maybe wait a year and then you can get one of these for $500 used.
Of course, it probably is clogged.
Yeah, well, it might not work. Yeah,
you will have to invest in cleaning cartridges and a print head or 2 or 3. All right. Anyway, yeah, I wish everyone good luck with that. I hope we're completely wrong. So we'll.
Our collective wisdom clearly is misplaced here. Obviously, it's going to be perfectly fine. And
of course, human nature is human psychology works in a different way. So I do not expect a lot of people to go online and admit that they invested too much money in that. It's probably not going to happen. Anyway, let's look at the picks for this week. Let's start with Adrian. I'm going to bring it up in... All right. Who is?
In just a minute, no doubt.
Chris meets Chris.
Yeah, this is a YouTube channel, right? As a fellow who lives in, by the background of his vlogs, he lives in Vancouver. He's one of these. He's one of the resurgent wave of vloggers. Using an action camera most of the time of one sort or another, walking around the city, talking into the camera, sharing his thoughts. He did a video not so long ago, which caught my eye. about well, he did a couple. One he'd done recently is called like make videos for humans, not for algorithms or not for AIs. Or
I think it's the one who says,
whatever.
"Who are you making videos for?"
Yeah, and he's also trying to sort of give shouts out to other people who have just a few hundred subscribers, on the basis of watch these guys before they blow up. But one of the things he said that was interesting is that it's one of the things that might be behind an increase in sort of bare bones vlogging at the moment is it's a pushback against the AI, right? Because that these are not great like productions. They're not expensive productions. They're just people sharing their thoughts, real people sharing their thoughts with real people, and that actually the human aspect to that is the thing that makes it compelling.
Can I throw out a possible concept that could be happening over the next few years? Is that we will see a reversion. We're sort of sensing that in a way, like we did with film emulation and light leaks and all of that, of creating imagery or vlogging that's intentionally crappy looking to combat the AI glossiness, perfection.
Are you saying you specifically hired the chainsaw people that we can hear in the background just to give us more realism?
just to lower the production values of this podcast.
So
all for it.
It's real.
All for it. Chainsaws.
You'd never get an AI to do that.
You have that chainsaw button next to your screen that plays that. All right.
So it's a bit of food for thought. So it's a pick of the week that is genuinely interesting to me, right? So maybe others will find interesting. And it's also a bit of food for thought, right? And a bit of a, a little bit more bare bones and sharing human thoughts.
Yeah. Very good. I brought us one that is more on the nerdy technical side. If you ever wanted to know how autofocus works, Petapixel has an article that goes into depth here. Well, not really depth, but it gives an overview of the different autofocus systems, as in contrast detection that we used to have, and then goes into phase detection, how that works on the technical side. Then there's hybrid autofocus that mixes the two. Then they talk about Canon's dual pixel autofocus, which is a phase detection autofocus, but every single pixel is a little phase detector, and explain how that works, because that's, I think, probably one of the best autofocus systems right now. Another one that wasn't on my radar is Panasonic's depth from defocus, which is another system that I want to look into that speeds things up. And then there's AI-based autofocus, subject recognition, and lens-based autofocus systems that look into the motors that make it work, that move the lens around from a DC motor to an ultrasonic motor to a step motor to a linear motor, and explain all these. So it's a nice little all-rounder that just gives you a good idea how these things work. And I found this
awesome,
very enjoyable. All right, and last but not least, Jeremiah, you brought us a thing that I also tried and completely failed at it. Tell us what Project Indigo is.
This is a iPhone app. It's basically
it's by Adobe.
It's a new camera photo app. And they've obviously put a lot of thought into this. And if you're an Adobe user, it obviously has advantages in kind of moving stuff laterally through and into Lightroom or Photoshop. But it uses multiple lenses. It has incredible quality. And I've been using it. And, to introduce a new camera phone app at this point in the cycle of iPhones is a bold move. I think they pulled it off. I think it's really worth experimenting with. The quote zoom is up to 10. It will take pictures using all three cameras, as we kind of hinted at the failed multiple camera piece in Kickstarter or whatever. But, and obviously the computation and the sophistication with the new technology applied to the new iPhones, the lenses, and processing allow a tremendous amount of latitude, and it's impressive.
It's impressive. When I tried it first, I think it was an earlier version. It just overheated my camera and didn't work. So I think they fixed a few of these things. And if you are in the Adobe ecosystem, then and you have an iPhone, try it out. It has quite impressive. It's impressive what it can do, but I will probably still fall back to the built-in camera mostly because that's the one I can bring up in half a second. So. But it's worth a look. It's quite impressive. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess that was it for this future photography. And yeah, let's start saving for the used UV printers. That's no. I wish them well. You can find us on the interwebs, in our Discord, on thefuturephotography.com. And look for all the other episodes out on YouTube, and we'll be back soon with more. Until then, everyone, take care. And bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Future of Photography. Join the discussion on our Discord, find the show notes and all episodes at thefutureofphotography.com, and subscribe wherever you listen to audio.